There are 281 million migrants worldwide, representing 3.6% of the global population. India tops the list with 17.5 million emigrants, followed by Mexico with 11.8 million, China with 10.7 million, and Russia with 10.5 million. Most of these migrants are highly educated and skilled. Among them are Ajani Wadiod from Sri Lanka, Ivan Lopez from Colombia, Fawad Khan from Pakistan, and Hussein Kako from Syria. The age of geographical discoveries that began in the mid-1500s allowed Western colonial powers to seize territories that were not theirs. They claimed to bring civilization to those they deemed different, but in reality, they exploited resources. Colonialism, characterized by atrocities and struggles for independence, persisted until the mid-1900s. The opium trade and opium wars in China, the slave trade in Africa, and resource exploitation in South America laid the foundation for the modern world. Today, colonial mission to bring civilization to the other has now turned into bringing the other to civilization. Today, the descendants of the exploited are waiting in line for better job opportunities in the lands of former colonizers. Ajani Wadiod from Sri Lanka. She was offered a job after completing his education in her home country. Yet, she sought better living conditions and eventually moved to Australia after stints in the UK and Malaysia.
When you look from the perspective where you're talking from, it is true. It is kind of colonization because they pick the good ones and then they try to choose the bad apples and the good apples, and then, okay, these ones will be using for this and this. We want this many engineers, this many doctors, this many teachers, this many nurses, and then they make the quota of getting people into the country according to that.
Khan, who comes from a middle-class family in Pakistan, left his country and, although he initially planned to return after completing his education in Australia, he instead joined the workforce there without becoming a burden.
Can you go back now? It's $1 million question now.
Ivan Lopez, a member of a middle-class family from Colombia, studied industrial solutions engineering in his home country. After gaining 6 years of experience, Lopez decided to move to the United States. The U.S.'s need for skilled human resources, combined with Lopez's expertise, made him an ideal choice.
And then I was able to convince the organization that it was a better deal for them to hire me and bring me from Colombia rather than hiring someone from the United States that they will need to go and train and take him or take her to a full training journey to get the level that I already had, but living in Colombia. So the reality is that, for example, I belong to an organization that has around 10,000 employees, and people in my situation who was educated in Colombia and moved eventually to the United States at some point, I can tell that it's less than 20 people. I mean, talking about the regrets, I need to confess that even after a year when I moved, I thought on going back. And the reason is, I told you, when I was in Colombia, I was really good. I actually was kind of in a managerial position. I was kind of in a group of 20 engineers. And when I decided to move, I didn't move with the same type of level that I had when I was in Colombia. I came more into an entry job level for the tech industry. So somehow I accepted to degrade a little bit my salary in a way, knowing that I had bigger opportunities.
Some, like in the story of Syrian Kako, are not fleeing for a better life, but rather escaping war and destruction. Kako was forced to leave his country before completing his education due to the civil war in Syria. He first traveled by boat to Greece, and in 2023, he was able to obtain Norwegian citizenship.
في اتفاقات دولية بتصير إنه أنت مجرد ما تصير داخل الدولة لك الحق تطلب اللجوء، ولكن أنت خارج الدولة وانت جاي من بلد فيها حرب، فمن الاساس ما بيقبلوا انك تدخل لعندهم. بالنسبه للنرويج ما بعد الحرب ما في اي طريق شرعي بيخليك تيجي على النرويج غير طريق واحد، اتفاقات دوليه، هو الامم المتحده. الامم المتحده بتخصص عدد معين لاجئين من تركيا، من الاردن، من اي مخيمات، فهدول الطرق الشرعيه. مثلا على سبيل المثال الامم المتحده بتخصص 500 عائله، بدك تاخذي النرويج من الاردن، 500 من تركيا بياخذوا. هي الطرق الشرعيه فقط. النرويج في لها مخصصات عن طريق الامم المتحده. يعني على سبيل المثال العوائل الفلسطينيين، السوريين، الافغانستانيين اللي بتركيا قاعدين على سبيل المثال مخيمات، النرويج بتاخذ من تركيا مخصصات من المخيمات، عرفت، عن طريق الامم المتحده. كل شيء مسجل عن طريق الامم.
India, Mexico, Russia, and China are among the countries that send the most migrants. According to the International Organization for Migration's 2022 World Migration Report, the number of migrants globally has increased over the last 50 years.
Genel olarak dünyanın güneyinden kuzeyine doğru, gelişmiş ülkelere doğru gelişmemiş ülkelerden bir hareketlilik olduğunu söyleyebiliriz.
Modern bir sömürgecilik türü bir ülke yetiştiriyor, yatırım yapıyor gençlerine ve o kişi gidiyor. Ama burada bir gönüllülük var. Yani kimse zorla bu gençleri almıyor.
Yani 19. yüzyılda dünyayı küreselleştiren, biçimlendiren emperyalizm bitmedi. Sadece şekil değiştirdi, dönüştürdü ve günümüzde de devam ediyor.
Regardless of their hopes when they set out, these countries make decisions based more on needs and interests than on humanitarian grounds. The colonizers, who once loomed over the great civilizations of the past, are now held responsible for those civilizations being underdeveloped today. Yet, they have set up a reverse colonial machine in modern times.
We want this many engineers, this many doctors, this many teachers, this many nurses, and then they make the quota of getting people into the country according to that. There are kind of double standards. If you're coming as a skilled person, the way they invite you is different. The way they welcome you is different. Because we could have lived back home in a better way than just living in a detention center for so long. Here, there's no freedom. And for a human being, the most important thing is the freedom. This kind of colonization, because they pick the good ones and then they try to choose the bad apples and the good apples, and then okay, these ones will be using for this and this. It's more of a they do it in such a way that you don't see it as that.
Common thread between Wadiod, Lopez, Khan, and Kako is that despite their different lives, they have become similar protagonists of the same story. Each of them, for different reasons, has become one of the chosen ones in the lands of their former colonizers. In the modern world, those who migrate for better education, life, and work have ancestors who migrated in the past due to climate or wars. According to some, the voluntary migration of people who were once under colonial rule now signals that colonialism has evolved into another dimension. While every migrant hopes to crown their journey with a happy return story, many find that their story doesn't end the way they envisioned.
You know, when you go back home, when you're going on the flight itself, when you see your country itself, that feeling that comes to you, and you know, once the flight door is open, you get this beautiful smell that you're so used to. Like, I can't even explain that kind of connection you have with the land itself where you're born, and that's something you miss massively.
Obviously, the guilt is there. You miss all those things, as I said earlier. You miss all the celebrations, you miss all the friendships, you miss all the relations, you miss not seeing your parents on the daily basis, the guilt of not being able to serve the countries there.
In their own words, even though they face difficulties, they choose to live in their utopias rather than returning to their homeland, where they long for the scent of their soil. In the last 50 years, the number of migrants worldwide has increased. We've only shared the stories of 4 of them.